All right, it is now morning of the next day, and I have moved ahead a little bit on this project. So this is the book cloth. I do like how it has come out. It has a shiny side as well as a flat side, which I should have expected because I've done this with tissue paper before. I made a book cover out of tissue paper, and it did the same thing. It had a shiny side from the wax paper, and then the flat side, the matte side, from the other stuff. There is a little bit of a hole in here, but we're gonna work this, I think, so that it's not going to be an issue. So I want it so it's flat side up. This is my book cover. I did write front and back on an F and a B on it so that I wouldn't forget. And I did put 2 coats of acrylic paint on it this morning. This is Flesh Tint from Reeves something. My husband is a plein air painter, and he started in acrylics. He now works a lot in oils. When I first started doing a bunch of this stuff, I said, I need some acrylic paint. Can I borrow some of your paint? And he gave me all these little tubes, and he said, use these up because I don't use them. It's not necessarily really good paint, but it does. I think it's going to be all right for what you're using, and it's been perfect. I use these all the for a couple of different things. So I put 2 coats over the top of this because I discovered that when I put my top on it, it was showing through, and it still shows through that little circle there that's there. But this was a Cheerios Oat Crunch, and that circle kind of still shows through a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be so much of an issue. I just wanted to get rid of the words so that you couldn't see the words. All right, so today, now my point is to glue this to this. And for that, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac rather than Mod Podge, because I think it's going to be a little bit more stable. I've used Fabri-Tac in the past, and it has worked out pretty well. And all I'm going to do right now, and it's a little sticky. Everything's a little sticky, partly because it's very muggy out today. But I think this might be a little tacky, but that's okay. I don't want the hair on there, although it doesn't matter because it's not going to be seen. I am doing a hidden spine on this, so we'll work on that later. Right now we're just putting the cover on the cover, and I am kind of getting that all around there, and then I'm going to put this part down first. And I'm making sure I know exactly where I want it. I want to give it a little bit of a leeway. Hang on. I'll get this. I don't know that this is going to do a whole lot, but it helps push it down a little bit. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, well, why didn't you just... And I still have my this down here to protect my mat. Just a little bit of wax paper to protect the mat. I don't think anything's going to go through, but it doesn't hurt. So you're thinking probably, why didn't you just use, instead of painting that, why didn't you just flip this over and put that on the inside? Because eventually it's going to show up somehow anyway, and I don't want it to. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it. So today, this part, and then I'm going to let this sit and dry while I work on the hidden spine. But I have errands to run today. My daughter's getting married in 3 weeks' time. I'm very excited. Today we are going shopping for the wine, and we're going down to Dr. Konstantin Frank's winery down near Hammondsport, and we are buying, hopefully, a case of our Cazzotelli. Our Cazzotelli is a very rare wine in the United States because it does, Dr. Frank, back in the, I don't know, early part of the 20th century, brought over a certain number of I'm going to put just a little bit more here in the corners. Only a certain number of the cuttings of the Arcatzelli grape, and it grows really well here, but I think there are only about 17 acres or so of the Arcatzelli grape. I know I'm going to be folding this up, but I don't want it to move. This is the back part of it. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to put books on top of this so that, see, it's already sticking. Unfortunately, it's not sticking enough that I could consider it glued down. I know, gluing requires concentration. I'm just making squares of glue on here, so the whole thing is covered. Let me get my corners a little bit better. I will be putting corners on here to finish it off, but right now I just want everything to stick down there. I don't want it to go anywhere, to do anything. I want it to be put. So yeah, we're going to Dr. Constantine Franks. She would like to be able to do the toast at the wedding in, so yeah, that pink shows through, that peach color, but I'm okay with that because I will be putting lace over this as well. I already have the lace pieces cut, but I'm not ready to put them on just yet because I have to cut this down. Okay, now that I'm going to go ahead and pull that piece out of there because it's only going to drive me crazy. So there, we get rid of that. That's done. Put that aside. And you can see that I have way too much fabric up here. So I'm going to take my fabric scissors and I'm going to cut that down to size. See how this cuts through. If you have scissors for paper and scissors, you should also have scissors for fabric. And they never should be used for the same thing. You don't cut fabric with paper scissors, and you don't cut scissors or fabric. Oh, you know what I'm saying. You don't cut one with the other. All right, so I'm going to set this piece aside. I chose not to use the hem edge. You can see how it's all stretched out. This is just not, it's just not good fabric anymore. It's a beautiful, was a beautiful linen in its time, but it is not so pretty, excuse me, anymore. Okay, so that's going to go up like, sorry, I got the hiccups this morning. I don't know where those came from. See, I'm not worried about that hole up there because it's not going to show anyway. But there is this, and then this piece is going to go over that. Hang on, let me get it there. That piece is going to go over there, come around, and then this piece is going to go over that. I can't do it here while I'm just, there we go. This piece is going to go over that. Yeah, I'm going to like that. And then these are going to go inside on a hidden spine. Yeah, I've got all the pieces. It's gonna look good. We're still putting it together. All right, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and glue these down. I wasn't sure if I was ready to, but I think I can. There's nothing, it's sticking pretty well. I was gonna put that on, I thought I might have to put something on there, but I don't think I do. I think it's working just fine. Yes, I will be cutting my corners in a bit, but I think what I'd like to do, and because I've done this in the past, as I do these, I'd prefer to put it this way. Let me just put a little bit along the edge. And this way I can get it nice and tight up along there. I really am liking this book paper, this fabric, using the fabric and making it into paper, or actually it acts like paper, makes it a lot easier to use. Okay, I am not going to cut this with my fabric scissors only because I am a little bit concerned about getting all the glue on my fabric scissors. I'm going to cut that and then cut my corner just a little bit. Cut that piece out. There. So that when I fold it up, okay, I got a little bit too much there. All right. This is going to take me a little bit. I don't know that you really want to pay attention too much while I'm doing this. I'm going to cut that right at the thing, and I might do the same on this side. I might. There we go. Now that makes that a little bit easier to bring up. Got a little bit of Mod Podge extra that doesn't need to stay, but I am up here a little bit, so let's glue that down so that doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't mind cutting fabric with paper scissors, but I'm not cutting paper with my fabric scissors. I'll dull them very quickly that way. I'm not sure if I'm still on camera for this. Okay, I'm just putting my extra scraps over there. Am I still on camera? Yes, I'm still on camera. Okay, so now when I go up, see, I've got a nice piece, and this will be covered. Remember that this is going to end up getting covered. Okay, so let me go ahead, and before I glue this one, we'll go ahead and cut it. We'll just cut that right there. I know I just cut the wrong way, the wrong diagonal. It's all right, we'll fix it here. There we go. Some people don't cut off this extra piece, but I'm finding that this is actually pretty darn thick. So I want to cut that off. All right, got my edges cut. That one's glued down and it's not moving. So let's go ahead and glue this one down. Keep in mind, these flaps are going to be covered. I have not sure what I'm going to use for the for the fly leaves yet. Haven't quite decided. I don't know how much glue is actually coming out. It's white on white, and I have the light on so that I can see by the glare whether I've actually put glue down or not. Okay, again, pulling that right over. But yeah, this will have something covering all of this, and of course the hidden spine will cover it as well. All right, I'm going to just do a little bit of a notch here. Make this a little bit easier to fold up. What's interesting is where there were rips in the fabric, the Mod Podge has kind of covered it over and given it a surface so that it's not fraying any further on me, which is nice to see. But keep in mind that it's going to be covered with lace. So and I'm always afraid of going too close to the edge, and I probably should not be quite so concerned. Okay, let's go ahead and it is folding in quite nicely and staying put. I like that part. So if I will put a link in the description below to Natasha's video. She actually does several different ways of making this book paper. I chose this particular method because I had all the materials. And really, sometimes that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? It's just what you happen to have and what you have available. I did not have some of the other materials available. So I thought, well, you know, I've done this with napkins before. I'm getting a little bit of schmutz on my... Oh, great. Now I got it all over my fingers. I've done this with book paper before, or tissue paper before. I'm making book paper. There we go. So now my spine is in. And now we'll fold these up. And I want to make sure that I don't have that extra ledge. Get rid of that. Although it's not, I'm not too worried about it because, like I said, I'm going to be putting corners on it. So if a little bit shows up and is a little obnoxious, I'm not too worried about it. What I do see is that it doesn't have a lot of give. This is pretty much, it's pretty solid, to be honest with you. I'm not worried about it fraying. I'm going to I like to put a piece right on along the seam. Give it a little bit of extra strength. Because it's Mod Podged, and when you do that, it just seems to stay put. Now that's an old piece of Mod Podge. We'll take that off of there. And I will cut that little bit of string that just is hanging out there. Get rid of that. So yeah, this will be covered. I do have these marvelous marbled pages that I just got, but I don't think I want that for this because this is a little bit more, it's a little more delicate. And those book pages are pretty heavy. Okay. So if you have not made a book cover before, this is pretty much the same method that I use for all of my hardcover book covers. I'm not really doing anything different. I can't remember. I think I may have done a video on making a book cover before. I can't remember. Again, just taking off some of that Mod Podge that leaked off onto the side. And what I have done in the past, once I do this section, I will often put a set of books on top of it just to kind of make sure that it stays put. And I know there are people, you watch some people make these book covers and oh my glory, they're like, they make very precise cuts and everything is organized and it's pretty and it's like, oh, I wish I'm not quite that way. Again, I have a couple of holes here, but the Mod Podge has become basically a backing for it. So it's not going to fray, it's not going to do anything. And of course, once I put the fly leaf on the top, you won't even see them. You won't even see those holes that are in the fabric. So, but I can see where that might make a really kind of coolness on the cover. In fact, do I have any? I got Mod Podge hanging off of me here, or glue. That's one thing. I am not a neat gluer. I don't do that well. I wish I could, but I'm not neat when it comes to gluing. So I'm going to call this, at this point, a success. This was an experiment. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I got a piece hanging up over here. Hang on. Let me grab that while I see it, because if I don't do it while I see it, I'll forget. And then, okay, I'll just get that down there. I still may stick a couple of books on top of this just to make sure that everything stays put and let it sit there for a while. Once I get everything on, we'll see. Because I still have to add the lace. I have to add the lace and I have to add the ribbon. I'm going to do a ribbon tie, and I want the ribbon to go all the way through. Okay, how's that hanging? Is that keeping all right there? A little bit of touch up over in the corner. That does all right. It's doing okay. Oh, a little bit over here. I got glue on my fingers again. Now it's glued to my finger. I just want to throw a little bit. Like I said, I probably shouldn't need to be worried quite so much about this, because I will be, okay, I will be adding a fly leaf, so it's going to cover it over. All right, so there's the base. This is kind of creaky as the stuff gets organized. All right, where's my first layer of lace? I cut this big because I want to be able to flip it under. I do have a hole over here. I may do something with that because, again, it's not going to fray at this point, but if it's going to wear, that's where it's going to wear. Okay, let's start with putting it down on the spine. Again, I'm using Fabri-Tac for all of this. It's really what it was designed for. Okay, and I like that I can just kind of put it down and let it sit. And then this piece is going to cover just that much of it because I want it to overlap in the front. So let me put a little bit more down on top. This is probably more Fabri-Tac than I need, but I'm going to err on the side of safety. I don't want this thing falling apart. Okay. And now I'm going to let that dry. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off while that dries, and it won't take long. I'll be back shortly. Okay, I am back. My fabric is glued on pretty well. I am going to add a little bit of Fabri-Tac to the outside edge here. Get rid of that piece. Just so that it stays put. Probably should do that with something else other than my fingers. I'm not going to glue this one down yet because it might, I don't know what my frontispiece is going to look like here. And so I think I want to wait because that might end up going over the top. Okay, let's try to do this way and not end up with glue all over your fingers. Okay, get that until it lays flat. So because it may end up tucking under and that may end up going over the top of it, you know, I have no idea what that's going to do. So I don't want to glue that down just yet. I just want to make sure that's all set. All right, I'm going to let that finish drying again. And I did want to show you, this is going to be the hidden spine. So I took 2 more pieces of, what do you call this? Cereal box. And I have glued them together. I put them facing. And I think what I'm going to do once that's dry is cover it with this. Cover it with a strip of that. All right, so we're going to let that dry again. I know I'm stopping the video a lot here, but, you know, things have to dry. I can't I don't want to work on them too much when things are not wet or not yet dry. Although, you know what? This would probably dry by now. It's been sitting here for a couple of minutes. I bet I can do this real fast. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to glue this to this. I'm using so much Fabri-Tac, and I am almost out. When I'm out and about today, running errands, with any luck, I will be able to stop somewhere and pick up more Fabri-Tac. Okay, so this is the spine, and I'm just covering the hidden spine a little bit. There we go. And this one I am going to put a bunch of books on top of. Hang on a second. Let me grab a book or 6. Now these are good ones. These are 2 good ones. Nice and heavy. There. We're going to let that sit. And now I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I have folded in my lace. I have left this a little bit of an opening so that I can slide my front piece in here. I have not yet designed that, so I don't know what it's going to look like. I have also sewn my signatures to the hidden spine. That part is done. All I did was fold over the fabric. None of that's going to be seen because that's going to go right there. But before I put that down there and glue that in, I want to put some cover over these. So these need to be, I've already measured to figure out what I need. I need 5.5 by 8. I need 2 pieces of 5.5 by 8. This is a 12 by 12 section. So I'm going to go, or sorry, now I'm going to measure again. I think it's 7.5, not 8. No, it is 8. I do want 8 because I'm figuring if I do 5.5 by 8, then if it's too big, I can just, it's easier to take off, cut it too big and make it smaller than it is to do it the other way around. Okay, and I want this to be 5.5. There's one panel, and I want the other one to be 5.5. So put those scraps over there. That gives me 2 panels, which, God willing, and the creek don't rise, are going to go right there. Look at that. I'm not going to bother covering the middle panel because once I put this down, yes, a little bit of this will show. I think I'm okay with that. Okay. Okay, before I glue, I am double checking. Actually, I currently have this upside down, so I'm glad I double checked. Okay, yeah, that's now right. I'm just debating if I want to paint that section in there because I could easily do that with a little bit of pink paint. Okay, let me grab my paints. I, of course, do not have any pink in here, and I don't have any whites at the moment. Do I? No, I don't have any white. All right, so I think that's not going to be an option unless I get some white. Hang on. Falling back 10 yards and punting. I have this, which I could very easily just go up the center with. You know, when you don't have what you want, you find something else that works. Isn't that what this is all about? This is a very old marker, so it may be on its last legs, but it is a marker and it works. All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, front, back. Throw the paints over there because you're not going to use those. This is the front. Yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? So once I put that in there, now is that going to show? Just a little bit, and it's okay. See, problem solved. Good old markers to the rescue. All right, let's go ahead and glue this down. I'm getting a lot more done because my daughter texted and said, I'm running late. I'll be about a half an hour late. I was like, perfect, actually, because now I can get this maybe even close to finished. I really need to get more glue. I'm getting down to that bottom half of the bottle, and so it doesn't squeeze as easily. There we go. And keep in mind, I'm leaving room because I'm going to be putting corners on that. But the corners are always the last thing to come on. That's the very last thing that I always do once I'm putting together a journal. I know a lot of people put them on ahead of time. That makes me a little bit nervous. I'm going to come down here just a little bit with this. Fill it in just a little bit more. There. Okay, now let's put the other side on. I know, all my fancy glue, and you're watching me glue, but this is how it goes together. Little pieces at a time. And this is probably one of the most complicated covers I've ever done because I had to make the book paper. And I'm really liking it, so don't be surprised if I do this kind of cover more often in the future. Okay, I want that to line up so the top and the bottom are the same. Hang on, I'm off camera. It's all right, I'm pretty much off my thing as well. Okay. Smoothing it down. Now, the question might come, am I going to put anything on the outsides of these? I don't think so. Just come a little bit closer with that pen. I know it goes up higher here because, I mean, I suppose I could color in that fabric a little bit, but, you know, I don't think it's really going to make much difference because as soon as I do this part, oh my glory, this is the part that always makes me nervous. Okay, here we go. I'm going to throw a little bit of extra glue up in there, glue on the top. Come on, I have to wait for the glue to come back down because it is, like I said, I am running to the bottom of my bottle. And I am gluing all around the outside first, and I'm making sure that I put down a great deal of glue because I don't want this to move. I am gluing over putting glue on the signatures, and you can see that they are not even, but I don't think that matters so much because this is a hidden spine, and unless somebody's going to open up both signatures at the same time and compare them, nobody is going to notice. Okay. What I like about the Fabri-Tac is that for a few seconds anyway, you can move it around. And I have it now where I want it to be. That's going to close. This is going to close. Oh, shit. Sorry. I forgot to put my wrap on it. I wanted to put a piece of lace underneath this whole thing so that it came out and could tie. Well, we'll fall back 10 yards in front punt and figure out a different closure, because that is not going to happen now. This is way too far along in the process to change that particular piece up now. So I'm going to close up that glue, put that away. I think that's pretty well stuck. Find my center here. I know it's here somewhere. I probably could have put 3 signatures in. I chose only 2 because I want this to be able to get chunky. I want it to have some room. So there we are. So it still needs a front piece. It needs the corner pieces. I might do something here. I will probably put a book plate over here that says this book belongs to, or something of that sort. I will do a full walkthrough of this particular piece. I'm just double checking. Okay. I always have a fear that I will have things upside down. But I'll do a full walkthrough later on. And we'll see, maybe we will stick something on the back. But right now, we're going to call this particular video and this book done. If you enjoyed this process, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video, and hit the little bell for notifications for when the next video will come out. And then in the next video will be a walkthrough of this finished journal. I will finish off the pieces that need to be done, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's all finished. All right, till later, this is Cindy signing off.